Hello everybody, welcome or welcome back to my channel, and I think this is my first video ever in English, but we have to start somewhere. So, as you can see from the title, I've officially reached 6 months of PhD, which is crazy, right? And I thought that I'd celebrate this milestone by sharing my overall experience, and in particular some advices and tricks and suggestions that I have gained in this path. Short path for now, but we will see. I will probably update this video. However, why am I doing this video and why am I doing it in English? So, for those of you who have never seen me before, I am Italian. I usually do videos in Italian regarding mental health and this kind of stuff, but I recently started my PhD journey and I realized that I was looking for advices myself at the beginning and even now, and I realized that there are many advices related to humanities PhDs, and I didn't find much from people that are pursuing a STEM PhD like me. I am currently doing a PhD in informatics in Switzerland, and yeah, let's get started. So, advice number 1. Be prepared to the fact that research will be different from anything you've ever experienced before. This is especially true if you, like me, come from directly from the masters, or in some countries you can do, as we will say later, a PhD after the bachelor. But like, if you've only studied and done maybe thesis projects or projects, semester projects, etc., you might think that it will be like doing your thesis, but it's not. It's absolutely not, because during a PhD you have many responsibilities, and most of the time you will be your own manager. This means that your advisor will have tens of different projects to follow, and more often than ever you will have to organize your time and your goals on your own. They will follow you for like directions and advices on conferences and papers, but you might see them like once a week and that's it, and the other days of the week you will have to manage your time. Then another advice that sorry, my computer closed, that I want to share is that it's important to find a community, even in light of what I said before. So you need to have your support system, and more than ever you need people to share your thoughts and to do peer reviews, etc. As I said, your advisor will have many things to do. So if you need like a direction, a hint, another point of view, having people to ask that are doing research like you will be extremely important and useful. Then advice number 3, which I think is the most important one. If you're like me and compare yourself to others a lot and are very hard on yourself. So my third advice is that you should never compare your PhD journey to someone else's, because apart from the fact that we're all different, so it doesn't make sense to compare yourself to others, but especially for PhD journeys this applies, because every PhD program is completely different from the others. in the same department, in your same university, in the same topic, it will be the same, obviously. But in other universities in your same town, in other universities in your same country, or in different departments of your same university, and especially in different continents, PhD curriculum are extremely different from the others. So I spent my last year of masters in Chicago, and there you could do a PhD straight after the bachelor. Whereas in Europe, you need to have at least a master to access a PhD. Or in, I think, in some parts of Switzerland, for example, I'm in Switzerland, but in some parts of Switzerland, you don't have to attend courses and do exams during your PhD journey. In other universities, you have to do exams, but they're like very easy exams, like quizzes, and sometimes they're like you just have to attend them, etc. In other universities, such as the one where I am currently pursuing a PhD, you have to do exams, a lot of them, not like as many as when you are doing a master's, obviously, but you will have to do master's exams, a subset of them, in order to complete your PhD. And you're also required to do teaching assistance. In some other university, being a teaching assistant is not compulsory at all. You are paid more if you decide to do that. In my university, you are not paid more, and you are required to do that because they believe that mentorship is an essential, and teaching is an essential part of being in research. Another thing is like paper requirements. In some universities, they absolutely don't care if you haven't published a paper. You won't, I mean, like, you will continue doing your PhD. Maybe you will have problems at the end, I don't know. I've never met people that have completed their PhD with no publication, but there are people that I know of that are like, have published very few papers, and that was okay for their university. Whereas in other universities, they're very strict in that. Every year they check if you have published at least, I don't know, one paper, and if you didn't, you might not be able to continue or something like that. And at the same time, also for your thesis, you have to defend your thesis, so your research, when you terminate your PhD. But in some universities, your thesis is just something that you create by putting together all of your papers. In other universities, it is a brand new document that you have to write from scratch, and that has to have an intro, a gap explanation, and everything you would put on a very long paper. So this was all to say that don't compare yourself to others, because they might have been able to publish more paper because they don't have to attend courses like you, or they are like better in explaining things at conferences, maybe because they are required to do TAs. So it's a very peculiar path. Every country has its own traditions and cultures and mechanisms. As I said, in the US, you can do a PhD after the bachelor with no master, and it might seem absurd to people from Europe, but it's like everyone has a different philosophy for a PhD. Then we have fourth advice, which is good enough is better than perfect. I mean, perfect is better than just good, obviously, but research moves very fast. If you lose years years, sorry, English is not my first language. If you lose like years, entire years, or even just months in like perfecting your paper and your research, that gap might not exist anymore in the moment you decide to submit your research, because the world changes, and especially in these years, innovations are going so faster than before that, especially if you are in STEM, you should just like be satisfied overall with the result, but there is no space for perfectionism, in my opinion. Of course, you shouldn't submit something horrible, obviously, but like I think you got the point. Fifth advice, sorry, maybe you won't see my face if I sit like this, is use a reference manager. I will do probably a video on that, apart like just a topic on its own. But a reference manager is something you like basically you keep track of all the papers you read, and it's extremely important because sometimes you are like reading papers, and then in after months you will need to have a literature review ready, and you remember you read something but you don't remember which paper was that. And with a reference manager, where you can also organize the papers in folders and collections, etc., everything is better. Then last one, the tools. I will do a video on tools, that I'm already preparing a video on tools. There are tools like reference managers, as we said. There are tools for creating connections between papers, and tools that like automatically do your literature review, etc. I will do a video on that, but the most important thing is that, especially in this period where there is a lot of use of generative AI, I think that we need to keep in mind that every work we do should be our own work. At least you need to know what you are submitting. What I mean by that, there are people that ask ChatGPT to do literature review, and ChatGPT, I'm not saying that it's not capable, it is, but ChatGPT cannot know if a paper is reliable. ChatGPT cannot take into consideration how many citation a work has. So what I want to say is that keep in mind, if you decide to use generative AI, that you will need to double check everything. There is a researcher that I don't remember the name. It was from a blog I read. I'm sorry. I will write that down if I remember that. But they said use ChatGPT as if it was like your incompetent intern. Like, you can use what they produce as a template, but you need to check everything. Also, because you will need, if your paper is accepted, to be able to explain, and you will need to answer questions, and if you didn't check anything, you won't be able to answer questions, I think. So yeah, that was all. It was a very quick video. I hope my camera didn't stop because my memory was pretty full. And yeah, thank you so much, and see you in the next video.